Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt is a co-sponsor on the SAVE Act, which Schumer called noxious. He joins us now. Senator, good to see you. Before we go any further with the hypocrisy and this nonsense on the filibuster, for our audience, and if they're not familiar, what is the SAVE Act? Because Democrats call it an attack on democracy.
Yeah, effectively right now, you don't actually ever have to prove you're a citizen to register to vote, right? If you're, because the way it can work right now, I mean, this is sort of a loophole. If you're an illegal immigrant and you go and you're working, or if you're getting a permit to work in this country, you can get a driver's license. Okay, you can get a driver's license in this country, and if you get a driver's license, you can register to vote. And they never ask you the citizenship question at that point. Then it's all over. So this would require that sort of verification on the front end. And I think the Democrats are showing exactly what this is all about. What this was about the last 4 years in letting 15 to 20 illegal immigrants into this country. They thought they could build a permanent majority by getting them to vote. It also, by the way, you don't need to be a citizen to be counted in the census. They thought that would be for reapportionment, so they get more congressional districts assigned to them and take the majority. And if they had it, the irony now, of course, of Chuck Schumer saying he's going to filibuster, what were they going to do with all that power? They were going to eliminate the filibuster so they could pack the United States Supreme Court, have federal election laws, add states to the union like Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., and try to solidify themselves as a one-party state. So President Trump, of course, disrupted all that. The SAVE Act would ensure greater integrity in our election process, and I suppose the Democrats are opposed to that, too.
Senator, I want to move on to this. Given the news of the day, particularly with President Trump and the Republican Party taking on unfair trade practices, let's talk about unfair. The New York Times is reporting that the EU is preparing major penalties against Elon Musk and X, potentially more than $1 billion, for not fighting, quote, illicit content and disinformation, claiming it violates the Digital Services Act. So the EU doesn't like free speech, and because they believe in censorship, they're going to fine Elon Musk. What do you say?
It's ridiculous, and I think this is part and parcel. They're also arresting people in countries like, in the UK and in Germany for people protesting peacefully outside of abortion clinics or saying something disparaging about a politician. They're literally arresting people. They're throwing them in jail for exercising their free speech rights. So it's really hard for me to listen to these European leaders lecture us about why we need to send troops or money to defend Ukraine's borders, right? When they say this is all about Western democracy and the United States standing up for democracy, when our European allies don't actually believe in those things anymore, evidently. Like, they're unwilling to protect the free speech rights of their citizens. And so I was in Munich a couple months ago. J.D. Vance gave that speech. I was one of a couple people standing and applauding that, but also to deliver a message to our European allies. You need to start providing for your own defense and living up to the values you purport all the time, and stop lecturing America.
Well, and Senator, the three things that Vance said in that speech, the 3 points were, you guys don't actually believe in free speech, you guys have uncontrolled migration, and you don't necessarily believe in democracy if you're canceling elections or throwing people off the ballot that you don't like. It kind of feels like they have been validating those critiques over and over again, even just since February when he said those things in Germany.
Well, I think that's what you're seeing now, this sort of globalist left. We saw it in this country. Actually, the job I had before this, when I was Attorney General in Missouri, I had brought the Missouri versus Biden lawsuit that exposed this vast censorship enterprise that Joe Biden was working with NGOs and big tech companies. They wanted to silence dissent, and you're seeing that in Europe, actually much more aggressively, I think, than anybody ever thought. Right now in that country, these sort of globalists who don't believe in the sovereignty of borders, don't believe in individual rights, believe in this collectivist mentality, they're making serious inroads in Europe. And this is just one other example. They want to tax American companies who won't do their bidding for them by suppressing free speech. It's wrong.
Yes, these lunatic liberals can just go live in Europe where their truffles and wine are protected with these absurd tariffs. That's really what they want, and their speech is censored. Senator Eric Schmitt, great to see you, sir. And I was going yes when you brought up your lawsuit against the Biden administration, standing up for free speech, standing against censorship, sir. Thank you, Senator Schmitt.
Thanks, guys. Yep.